Rubin from East West Sailing and Performance. It's early in the morning, or at least it is for me. I got a busy day. I got a client coming down from San Francisco to spend the whole day with me. He's got chronic back pain, so it's going to be a long day. And I'm leaving for the rest of the week. I got a little vacation going on. I'm going skydiving for my anniversary, and then I got to go speak at the IDEA convention in Anaheim. So if you got a chance, check me out in Anaheim Saturday and Sunday morning. I'm doing 2 talks for the Czech Institute. Both are 2 hours long. Check it out. I can't get you in for free. If I could, I would. But if you got to pay, it's worth it. Just the information itself, so check it out. Or just go to the expo hall and check out all the booths there. It's a good time. What I want to talk about today, I'm going to try and make this quick, even though I always say that. We're always looking for ways to, change up our exercise routine. So I'm going to introduce you to something. I don't make any money off this. I'm just promoting it. So the website's at the beginning. They're very cheap. They're only $19. You can go out and get different bar sizes. I mean, the widths of them, they can be this big, this big, this big, this big, on and on and on. To use for dumbbells and barbells, that can get quite pricey. Now, the reason we use this stuff personally is for, a lot of people use it for increased grip strength, which a lot of power lifters want to use, Olympic lifters want strength, all those strongman guys want it for grip strength and all that, which it does help, but you have to look at the body as a root and branch system. So the more stability you have up here, the more mobility you're going to have down here, or strength you have. That's just how the body works. The more stability you're going to have in your neck, just like little kids, that's when they start developing, ulnar or radial deviation in their arm, or grip strength. So it actually is more proximal to distal. Recruitment, you have to have stability for mobility. Like Paul Chek says, you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. And if you try to sacrifice stability for mobility, meaning never working the slow twitch muscle fibers in your body, which are the postural aerobic muscle fibers that stabilize the joints in your body, then you actually put your body at risk for injury, increased wear and tear, inflammation, on and on and on. So what I'm going to introduce you to is what are called fat grips. Okay, there's 2 of them. They look like this. They basically spread open like that, so you can put them on a dumbbell or barbell. You get 2 of them. It does not come with a set of steak knives. So if you want steak knives, unfortunately, this does not come with it. But you get 2 of them. They're $19, and they're great. Of course, you can use them to change up your training routine. Anytime you change the intensity of the exercise, which is the weight, anytime you change the plane of motion, right? Anytime you change the tempo, how fast or how slow, anytime you change just even the bar grip width, you actually change the neurological recruitment of the entire body, which changes up the exercise. So it's not only a good way to just change up your exercise, but at the same time, the reason we use it is, let's say you're dealing with a shoulder injury. Let's say you're dealing with a torn ligament, someone that has a shoulder instability, a torn labrum. Well, of course, you're taking them through the necessary stages of closed chain movement patterns to actually rehab this. You see so many physical therapists doing these, external rotation, internal rotation, all this stuff with people's shoulder injuries. That's mobility. You're sacrificing stability for mobility when the person has basically an instability. It makes no sense. You're basically going to hardwire the system to create compensations, which leads to more injuries. So I am not for that stuff, my opinion. Now, you want to take them back to basically being an infant. Closed chain. Closed chain. Open chain is this, right? My arm can move freely in the air. So we have stability. The proximal segment is stable. The distal segment is mobile. That's open chain. Or my humerus is gliding in the glenohumeral joint, right? So the scapula itself is stable. That's an open chain movement, upper extremity. A closed chain, or we could say like a lat pull down, something like that, or a bicep curl. That's open chain. And we live in a predominantly open chain environment. Closed chain is mostly infant, depending on the sport, like if you're a breakdancer or something like that. And if I wasn't doing what I'm doing these days, I would be a professional breakdancer. Closed chain is like an infant crawling, right? A push-up, hands on the ground. So now the distal segment is fixed and the proximal segment moves over this distal segment, meaning now my scapula is rolling over the humerus. That's a closed chain movement. Anytime someone has a shoulder instability, a shoulder injury, their rehabilitation from the get-go should start in a closed chain movement pattern. We do it all the time with people. We get great results. This stuff with the bands does not work. Hate to break it to you. Now, can you pull that into their training at some point? Yeah, but it's a really weak way to train the system. You need a closed chain movement, a push-up, a lat pull-up, a pull-up on a gravity machine, 4-point crawling, horse stance, 4-point TVA. You could even do muscle activation to isolate the muscle. That's actually closed chain. But a great way when you start integrating open chain movements is to use these fat grips. Now you're asking why. The reason, I'm going to simplify this. I can't remember what it's called. Paul Chek calls it irradiation or radiation, but I can't find the term. It's basically neurological overflow. Think about a little kid when they have to go to the bathroom, poop. What do? They squeeze their butt. Because the rectum's relaxing, they squeeze their glutes to create neurological overflow to the rectum to help contract it. So they do that to shut down the rectum. Just like when women have pelvic floor instabilities from getting episiotomies which aren't needed, they overcontract their glutes, which are phasic or fast twitch, and it tries to create some stability in the pelvic floor, which is shut off. That creates more of a problem as it is. And check out our video on Hart-Bonham syndrome, and that'll explain that to you. But all you have to do is this. Just grab your arm like that, right? Now, I don't want you to grip with this arm that much. Just feel what's going on in your arm. Not much. Just grip a little with this right arm. Now, you start to feel some contraction of the forearm, a little bicep. Now, the more you grip and the harder you grip, the more neurological overflow you feel to the shoulder. That's what's going on. So the more you grip, because it's an altered grip width, it's harder to grip with. So when you start to pull in these open chain movements, maybe the second, usually the third or fourth phase of their rehab program, you can do the barbell bent over rows. You can do the dumbbell, the cable rows. You can do anything open chain, lat pull down. You can use these grips. They have to grip more. You don't have to increase the weight. You can actually keep the weight low to reduce the chance of injury. The more they grip, the more shoulder stability they're getting. So they're not actually sacrificing stability for mobility. And this is the reason why we, meaning us, the Chek Institute, don't like the wrist straps that people wear. Because the more you use those wrist straps, our philosophy is if you can't lift it, don't lift it. When you use those wrist straps, you actually grip less. You're actually letting the strap do more of the work. The less you grip, the more instability you have here, and then you have a chance for brachial plexus injuries, shoulder instabilities, tearing your labrum, on and on and on and on. So we're really not for that. So this is a great way to change up your training, create neurological overflow for instabilities in the neck, even the shoulder, increase your grip strength, work on even elbow stabilities, on and on and on and on and on. It's endless. So hopefully you've enjoyed this clip. I am in fast motion today. Thank you for keeping up. I'll try to get another YouTube clip for you before I go skydiving on Thursday, and I'm out of here.